This isn't going to be a fancy talk. I don't have slides. I'm not that fancy. I kind of decided to do this like last minute 2 days ago because I was like, it kind of just spawned from a thread in the Slack channel of like, hey, what does somebody think about using umbrella apps? And like, this is going to be more so for like people who are in the Elixir and who are actually built with it, because like a lot of people really hate umbrella apps, and I think there's an irrational hate for it. So today I'm going to be demonstrating why, in certain use cases, it's a wonderful idea.
Can you explain what's an umbrella app in this context?
So
I think that was me that asked. Because I was doing mixed new and I was trying to figure out what's the latestly happening in Elixir. Because I knew people hated umbrella. Was there a new thing that's been introduced since?
Well, the tooling has improved around it. So I think I mentioned that in the thread, because one thing that was kind of said about it before, I can't remember what tool it was used. I wish I could, but it's you can run some sort of mix task, and it'll tell you like where a certain function is called within other files, so you can actually see like where it's being referenced. And apparently that broke when you were going across umbrella apps, but now that's fixed, so that's yay. And yeah, like it's not uncommon to see in the release notes of a new Elixir release that comes out that they've improved some sort of behavior in umbrella apps. So while there's kind of a sentiment that they're dead or they shouldn't be used, I think it's been greatly overhyped.
So I think it's everywhere it works, they use umbrella apps.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that's a good thing, because like I think there's specific use cases for it, but overall I think many apps would probably benefit from it. And so that kind of leads into what I'm doing here. So this app is basically a CMS. It's an admin panel, and it has a user-facing side, and then there's a chunk of core business logic. So basically there's a shared app. The project's called Nexus, because it's where everything comes together. I'm very creative when I name things. And so, yeah, there's an install wizard. There's what I call the office, which is the admin interface. There's the showroom, which is the CMS. That's what people see at the front. And then there's what I call the lobby, which is kind of where all the users will like. So this is meant to be a community management system. So like you, basically, if you've ever been part of a nonprofit or a club or something like that, you as the user would use the lobby app because you pay for your membership and you get access to all the resources that are inside, yada, yada, yada. And the back office, the office app, that's where you'd actually see like what your revenue is and all that sort of thing. So that's where this is coming from. And so since there's all that shared logic, they all need to connect to like the same database. They all have that similar functions that they're all going to call, and that's why I think an umbrella app is a good choice for that, because basically if you had it so it wasn't an umbrella app, you would have to either run it as multiple services, and you could route that in like Kubernetes or whatever your orchestration tool of choice is. But really there's not a point to that. Like if you can get away with running one copy of the beam, get away with running one copy of the beam. Or maybe 2 or 3 if you want some redundancy. But then you can also utilize all of the underlying infrastructure that allows you to communicate between processes. So, yeah. Any questions so far?
Quick comment.
Quick comment?
Which is for the people that are not well versed with Elixir, this is one of the ways where I think Elixir really shines in terms of the flexibility. Of like, if you have an umbrella app, it wouldn't be that difficult to break it into separate nodes or into separate chunks.
Yep.
So it's very like, you could take one app and fairly easily break it into an umbrella app. You could break it into several different repos that then all talk to each other, so that you can scale your nodes separately and things like that. So it's very flexible.
Yep. Yeah, and also one of the reasons why in this particular use case why I chose to go with an umbrella app is this isn't meant for me to be running. So like with the nonprofits I volunteer at, I kind of volunteer to be the tech guy, but like I don't want to manage shit. I just want to be able to like throw it at Heroku, well, I use Fly.a. Nobody uses Heroku anymore. But like I just want to be able to throw it at the service and have it run. I don't want to have to do like I want to be able to configure subdomains once. I don't want to have to figure out like, do I need to scale other things? What do I need to scale over here, over there? I just want one configuration. So with this, I can point just a bunch of CNAME records at one Elixir app, and it's going to serve up all those apps independently. And all of those are separate Phoenix apps. So with this pattern here, it's basically, there's actually an app I call proxy in here, and you're going to see an amazingly complicated proxy server that is 49 lines long. So it's actually incredibly simple, and basically all it boils down to is this chunk right here. So you get a case statement, and it's like get app for host. So in this case, it's HTTP host, so that's the domain name. And then it's going to return this function is going to return an atom, and then based off of that, it's going to write it to the endpoint module. And that's basically it. Oh, and there's also a nice cool little setup wizard where, so like, again, going back to the whole idea of like, I want this to be used by people who don't really know how to manage software or like servers and stuff. So I want them to be able to install it, and then I want the app to tell them, hey, this is not configured, and it'll route them to the Phoenix app that tells them to configure it. So they don't need to worry about user permissions, none of that crap. They just get a screen that says, hey, enter your username, enter your password, enter the subdomains you want to use for these apps, and it's done. Very nice and simple. So I'll do a little demo here. See if it actually works on this machine. This is the first time I've tested it off my development machine. Stand back, I'm going to code. No, not really. Actually, no, that's not how I run it. I don't run it with Mix. I run it with IEX and Mix.
We're gonna take later.
Yes. Oh my god. The delete key on this keyboard is just, ugh.
Still.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Try type it again.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, oops, of course. So I'm going to do Mix setup. Now with Umbrella apps, I should also mention that like, what did I do wrong?
Yay.
Oh, I'm not connected to the internet. Ha!
Oh, do you need?
Yeah, I need Wi-Fi.
Okay.
You got Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
I can just use my hotspot, so
That's what
that
I'm
might
doing. That's what I'm doing.
that might be faster.
Your RBC network kind of sucks.
It was funny. I cloned the repo and forgot to run the deps. Oops. What? I don't have this set up? Ugh.
Are you running Pop OS?
Ubuntu.
Okay.
Nice.
That's very familiar.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I go with Ubuntu or Fedora if I can. Ubuntu because this is my work laptop, and everybody just uses Ubuntu, so I typically have to support the development team in terms of like, oh, we want to upgrade this on my machine. How do I do it? And so I run Ubuntu, but my daily running distro is actually Arch, but I don't recommend people run Arch.
What about Gentoo?
I mean, if you want to kill yourself, sure. No, I'm just kidding. But like Gentoo's horrifically bad. Like I got like 0.05 extra percentage out of my CPU instruction set. Woo! Nobody cares.
LFS.
Oh wow, that takes me back. Yes, so fun fact. When I was 17, I actually made my own which is like many years ago now. I can't do math, but that's like 18 years ago. 18 years ago, when LFS was brand new, I actually decided to make my own distribution from scratch, using that as a base. And I wrote my own package manager. Fun times.
Sure, it was very good.
Oh, nobody used it. Like nobody. I didn't even use it. It's called Blue Chip Linux. Fun fact.
What was your first kernel?
I don't know. I went with a monolithic kernel. So, well, Linux is monolithic, but I went with most of what I needed compiled in, so that I can't remember what the term for that is.
Like, I mean the version.
Oh, it was 2 point something. I think it was 2.2. It was a long time ago. Very long time ago.
This also highlights one of the things that's nice about Elixir is like the built-in package manager and stuff like that is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talk about that in my job.
Do you?
Yeah.
You guys are like,
It's a very good like progression of topics. It took a while for Ruby to sort of sync up with Bundler.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like I wrote Rails apps on what was it? Rails 1 or 2, and like having to do gem commands before Bundler was the most painful thing in the world. It was like, oh, it blew up on this machine. Oh, it blew up on that machine. Oh, how do we make it in prod?
you can't find setup.
Setup cannot be found.
How many package managers has Python had so far?
That scares me.
I just
We're gonna have to go learn Python at some point.
I just use pip. So
Just
oh, my UI app doesn't have a setup task. Okay.
pip is so weird because it's like pip 3.9 is your command or something. Whichever version you're running, so you can have you have to explicitly state what version of pip you want to use.
Okay. Well. Sorry. 1 sec.
We believe in you.
Is it more complicated than just dev.get?
Just delete all the code and redo it.
No. It was actually very annoying to get this all working just so. So definitely not going to do that. It's actually the third time I've restarted this project because like initially I was like, oh, I don't need an umbrella app, and then I was like, no, it's actually really good in this fit, or it fits really good for this. So
It's not that fun. It's slower.
there, and now I'm going to have to add that there, and now I have to add.
This is, to me, one of the problems with umbrellas. There's all these duplicated
Yeah.
mix.exs's.
Yeah, but I mean,
Is there a way to try and make them all share the exact same app and then pull in, say, all their same setups?
well, this is because like of how I set this up here. So like because I have the root setup command being command, so like when you prefix it with command here, it's actually going to shell out and then do this in every app directory. So that's like a choice that I actually made with this.
Okay.
So
You need a comma there, Des. Oh, sorry, your cursor was
but yeah, so I think now I can just go back down here. There's actually no prepare needed for this. Or, well, I'll leave the release prepare statement because that doesn't matter. deps.get here doesn't matter. And I'll leave deps.get just in case it does. Cool. Maybe it runs now, maybe it doesn't.
Well, you have internet now.
Council,
Well-
let's combine and ask a question.
What's that?
So I've never used an umbrella app before.
Yep.
But at my company, we have something that might be ripe for breaking out into an umbrella app.
Yep.
But basically, we've got like the different concerns or domains, namespace in different folders under live.
Yep.
So what's the benefit of an umbrella app versus just having everything organized by just another directory structure under live?
So I would say if you don't need to run more than one Phoenix app, don't use an umbrella app.
Okay.
If you need to run more than one, so like, and so in this use case, like I have two distinct LiveView interfaces. Like I have one for users and I have one for admins, and they're completely different. And I want to be able to use different like npm packages for the front end and all that sort of thing. So if you're doing that, it fits really well. But if you don't need it and everything's going to go through that one kind of Phoenix endpoint, don't use it.
So yeah, the way we've got it set up is we've got the Elixir server, and that's running, I'm just gonna call it our like platform and back office. It's all
Yep.
It's all under live.
Yep.
Different concerns though, different business logic. And it's all served through a GQL layer. And then we've got two separate clients. Different builds, different repos, and they're both referencing that. So if it was like if the front end was being served from the Elixir app as well, then it would make sense to break out. But if we've got two different clients accessing it, and there's no,
So when you say clients, do you mean like JavaScript front ends, or do you mean like?
yeah, like a completely different project. It's like a React
Okay.
front end that's making API requests to our server.
Well, I mean, you might get some benefits of like if you want to eventually transition that over to LiveView, because then you could actually break that into like its own LiveView projects if you wanted to move away from your front end stack, but like your mileage may vary. Cool, so it actually built. Awesome. So now I can do IX mix. Why? Okay.
So when we were at Blitz, that's exactly what we did. We had a Phoenix GraphQL for all the users. We mainly used the app. And that got 1 point something million requests per second. And then we had this admin Phoenix LiveView, and that got released onto its own server for the admins to use and to update like content management systems.
Is that the gaming company that does like ranking for?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Can I just point out one other thing for the uninitiated? So what Kaz was loading up on the command line there. So with Elixir and Erlang, it sort of has a REPL by default. So that's one of the nice things. It's very easy to interact with. It's built to interact with, as opposed to like say if you're running like a Spring thing or something like that. It's not really like expecting you to interact on the code level.
Yep.
With Ruby, it would have been like IRB, and then you go, oh, bin/Rails C, and that's normally just the sort of two different REPLs in the Ruby world.
I always use Pry, but I think that was based on IRB, so pretty much the same thing. So yeah, this is a LiveView. So to get back to processes and stuff, under the hood, this is running a process. It's connected to through WebSockets, and it's connected to the Phoenix server. So every time I actually type a character, it's actually going to send that back to the backend and do any server-side validations. So like you could think of it like in a more real user case, like user-facing case, you could actually have it so if somebody enters their email, it'll actually return like emails already in the system, or well, that's not great from security, but like they typed in that exact email, so they already know it. But like you could actually return that right away. So that's one of the nice
If you
things.
split your screen, you'll see it on the command line.
Oh yeah, going in. Yeah, so I also have a bunch of things running here because I've got so also to go back to the gen server thing, I've got a bunch of checks running in the background. So it's running about 4 or 5 checks to see like, does an admin user exist? Are the database migrations run and all that sort of thing? Because one of the neat things, actually, and I think more people should put this in their apps, like especially with the user-facing apps. So I'm just going to do mix ecto drop. Oh my god, I'm not used to this keyboard. Drop. Cool. And then I'm going to create it, but I'm not going to migrate it. And then I'm going to run the app and
It doesn't love you anymore.
damn it.
Maybe if you run the migrations.
No, I wanted to show without migrations. Okay.
Roll one back.
So no, it's not going to work. But okay, so I'll have to fix this. But basically, so on this page right here, where this green check mark is that says install database, I had it working at the point where like if the migrations hadn't run, it wouldn't throw any errors, and there would be a nice little button saying like install the database. Because again, the whole idea behind this app is like to make it as user friendly as possible. That way, like somebody could just deploy this on a service like fly.io, even if they are not very technical, and just have it running. But I have failed.
It's only a 2-day project, right?
Well, yeah, I've been working on it for about three weeks ago, but then I had surgery. I had my gallbladder removed, so I was like out for like a week. So, by the way, if you have gallbladder problems, get that thing out. Man, does it make a difference. It's fantastic. Oh wait, migrations. Let's migrate.
Yes.
Okay, well, what should have been there is just like a nice little button that said, hey, do that. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh this just so there's no weird state. And yeah, I'm just going to do admin This doesn't matter. It's not actually going to send an email here. My very secure password is going to be password with an uppercase P, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, how's that not 12 characters? That's exactly 12 characters.
That's 11 characters. Put a 4 in there.
I did put the 4 in there.
Put a 4 in there.
Should be at least 12 characters. Okay.
It can't be lying.
I was dealing with this exact
Okay,
same
that's
problem.
weird.
There's another secret thing that it's keeping from you.
Okay, but the validation, I probably messed up the validation because that's something else I had an issue with here. And when I hit submit, it's fine. So I have to fix that. Bugs and debugging live, yay. But yeah, so this is the routing thing I was talking about. So with Showroom, I'm just going to use a local domain service. It's called NIP or noip.io. So I'm just going to copy that. But yeah, like this is the nice thing you can actually do. Like if you, whoop, I thought I copy pasted. I'm going to blame this keyboard again. Why? How is this not working?
Try right-clicking and then select copy.
You should be able to middle click what you got.
Now right-click there.
There we go. So Control V works, but apparently not Control C. Good to know. But that's probably this browser. I don't usually use this computer. I usually just shell into it. So. And yeah, so now you can see the errors go away, but I'm going to add one more route because, so it's a wildcard route, the percentage here, because I built that in because I wrote that to the lobby, or sorry, the admin, not lobby, office, there we go. Because if you accidentally misconfigure these, you kind of want to weigh in, so that's why I'll probably make this a default setting at some point. It's going to take a couple seconds, then it's going to say, please wait. And if it all works, hooray! So, like, and that's like, I would probably also encourage developers to do this. Like, if you're building an app, if you're making like a preview environment for your development environments, like, add this. It's wonderful. Like, I've done this like 3 times already, and like, mind you, it's broken, and I need to fix a couple things. But it's actually really nice just to have like that automated setup, like when you're building an app and be like, oh hey, this needs to be done. Oh hey, this needs to be done. Or you could use a seeds file and just like completely skip this, but it's a feature. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much the end of the talk. It's more of a demo, but
Kaz?
yes.
Can you do something where you do something in LiveView and then you just and like show the events that are coming in on the
Yeah.
Yeah, type into a form.
yeah.
So I can actually scroll back a bit here and just show this. So like, this is the inserting of the routes. So I insert that as a JSON blob into a table, so it just takes up a single row. Because I'm just using non-table backed ecto schemas to save this because I've been changing them a lot. So I just like to be able to tweak them quickly. Also, pro tip, if you're ever in need of like storing a couple configuration settings like an API key, an API host, and that sort of thing, if you back this with Cloak, which is an encryption kind of program within Elixir, well, it's not part of Elixir, but it's a package for Elixir, you can actually save encrypted chunks of JSON straight into the database, which is very useful. So like in the context of this, like most apps, you'd like set an environment variable for like Mailgun, and you do your Mailgun domain, Mailgun API key. With this, you can serve it you can actually store it in the database, and you can store those credentials safely because it's encrypted. And the only thing you need is the actual decryption key, which again I'm trying to minimize as much in the environment as possible. So that's, but you know, if you ever run into that use case where you need to have your users setting API keys, it's a great way to do it.
Is that Wizard like a library for handling your SQL?
No, I built that from scratch.
Okay.
But it's all just using LiveView and Ecto, so it's like under the hood, it's like if you're familiar with Elixir, it's really nothing fancy.
Do you use anything like Devise for setting up the login logout?
So I used Phoenix GenAuth.
Phoenix GenAuth.
Yeah, which is now standard part of Phoenix since, let's see, we're on 1.7, I think it's been around since 1.4, but don't quote me on that.
So I don't want to recode off.
Yeah,
You don't know.
yeah, I would use Phoenix Gen off. It's fantastic. You had a question?
How do you disable the wizard again?
How did I disable what?
The wizard tab?
Oh, the wizard. Oh, so yeah, I have.
There's a check if the settings are in, right?
Yes. So right here in the lib directory, so I have a gen server called the health server. I know I'm super creative with naming things. And basically all it's doing is it's pulling like this section right here. It's pulling it out of the application config, which again, if you're going to get into Elixir, highly recommend learning like how to put things in your config environments correctly. It makes life so much easier because then you can update one config reference and then it's just all magically works everywhere. But yeah, so like here, so like right here, it's just again love case statements and atoms on one side. It runs the check. So the check here is the handle info. So basically, it sent itself a message during the initialization phase, which matches every field in a struct that I have called state. So it's basically pulled the keys out of the struct, and it just sends those checks. Like the actual field of the struct is the check, sends itself as a message, and then it performs that check. So it's pretty simple in that sense.
So if one of them fails, the wizard will start.
Yes. So if it fails, this writes to what's called Erlang term storage because like every time it goes through that wizard, it's going to be like every single HTTP request. That's one thing to note about this approach is like if you have it running through a proxy and it's doing any sort of checks, that's going to be every single request, even if it's for a static asset, is going to hit that endpoint. So you want to make it highly performant. So you want to back it with something like ETS. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, it's just doing, yeah, so I implemented it as a behavior. That's the other kind of thing I like to do. So like these are local methods, but then I have an implementation module right here that it calls out to, which is, again, just using the application config environment. So it checks this. This is also, under the hood, it's also using ETS. Config is backed by ETS. So yeah, it's basically in the config file, it just says this is the default implementation module.
So those can change at runtime.
You can change them at runtime, yes. That's one of the cool benefits of that. Not that you should, that's potentially dangerous, but you can. It's like a knife.
Oh, I just wondering why you didn't put like at info module.
Oh, so at impl module, there's a reason for that. What was it again? Shit.
If I was the code reviewer,
Yeah.
that's something I'm just curious about.
Yeah, so there's a reason for that. It's covered in XUnit. XUnit goes over this pattern. So XUnit, for those who don't know, is the unit testing framework within Elixir, and they recommend doing it this way. There's a technical reason that I can't remember just off the top of my head.
So you can set like no-log behaviors for like third-party implementations. So you have like a layer for like something that makes like API requests to like a third party. You can set like a no-log.
Yeah. So like, yeah, and basically you just do like you got your standard like this is impl for the health server, and this is the actual code doing the check. So like this is the implementation of the logic that actually does the check under the hood, whether it's connecting to the database or whatever. But then in the other server, like the gen server is solely responsible for like the actual just maintaining state and handling the messages. So
Can you show the health server behavior?
yeah. And also like just another good pattern. So like these are kind of patterns that I've just developed. So like so I work at a company called Raven AI, and we run a lot of duplicated infrastructure because of the compliance issues we have. So like instead of running, like most people would typically only like run one instance of their app, we actually run one instance of our app for every customer we have, and it's run all managed within Kubernetes. So we actually write operators for Kubernetes within Elixir, and it's really good for that because it also handles message handling and that sort of stuff really well. But yeah, so here's the health server. Yeah, and the nice thing about this is, like this is basically what this pattern gives you is just like type checking under the hood. So like So there's the server behavior, which is defined in this module here. That's the long module name, and then I alias it with an as, so that it just becomes server behavior. And that all that looks like is just how does control click not work on this? Ugh.
Which LSP are you using?
It should be Elixir LS, but I just don't use this. Like, I usually shell into this, and I'm using VS Code Server from a different machine, so like, it works on my machine, and this one's just more of like a dumb client, or dumb server should be.
I don't see an Elixir LS in your, so I don't think it's running.
Really? It should be my recommended though.
It should.
Restart extensions. Oh, it's because it needed to update. Well then. Oh god, now it's going to blow up. Oh my god. It's like ads.
I got an update my Git the other day. That was annoying. Why won't you push? Oh.
But so yeah, this is the health server behavior. So basically, callback just means like it's a method you're going to have, and then just out of convention. So like these are all ending with question marks, which means they're going to return a boolean. But again, it's just a super simple pattern. In this case, the only reason I'm doing it is because so like. This is going to be like more advanced Elixir, like when you're doing OTP and testing. Having to check out and manage the database in tests, if you're doing async tests, is a royal pain in the ass. So what this allows me to do is I can just swap it in with a dummy module. And instead of actually hitting the database and messing up like, oh, where'd this come from? Oh no, the connection's been accessed over here. And the test's failing. All I have is a health server implementation, and you can see these highly complex implementations of my methods. So, yeah, it just makes life a lot easier. So that's my other tip. If you're going to have gen servers that start up when you start your application, do this. Like, don't bother trying to mess around with database ownership because it is just a nightmare. You can do it, but like. Don't. But yeah. Any other questions?
Do you have any examples of ecto queries?
Ecto queries, yeah, you bet.
Jeff about that yesterday.
Yeah. So I actually have a couple.
What does that look like? The syntax.
So if you want to do a raw query, like in my health check, I actually have a query that's just saying select one, which I know very complicated. But the reason for that is I want to see, so right here. So like if you want to do a raw SQL query, you can totally do it in Ecto. And you see select one, like this is only, the only thing this is doing is making sure that the TCP connection is open and that it's communicating with the right protocol. I don't want to do anything else. So that's one way of doing a query. But if you're going to make a more idiomatic Elixir query, where is it?
What does the question mark at the end of like all these things mean? Like database connected question mark.
Oh, because it returns a boolean. It's just a convention.
Okay.
So like if it's going to return a true false, you should suffix your method with a question mark. That's more of a Ruby thing.
I've said that once for Ruby core. I had my ear chopped off like the next half hour. It is not supposed to be Ruby convention in his mind. And he gave you like a whole list of Ruby functions to go and be like, look, it doesn't return true or false. It just returns a true value or a false value.
Well, this is a boolean, so it's only true or false. So.
And I think in the Elixir world, it's much more true or false.
Yeah, I mean, or you could have like pipe nil, so it could be nil, but it's falsy. But yeah, I'll just find a query here. So, oh wait, it's this one. Okay, so yeah, so like this one's just getting by a field. So yeah, you get a repo here. That's your database. Kind of acts like a singleton for all intents and purposes. And then you get by, and then user. This is a user struct. It also contains information like the table name, that sort of stuff. And then here, this is actually just a keyword list, and the keyword is email, and or the key is email, and then the value is the email variable that's been passed in. So in this case, it's just checking that email is a binary, which in Elixir is a fancy way of saying it's a string. And yeah, then it's just saying get by. And then if user has a valid password, oh, it's checking the password. Didn't even notice that. But yeah, so that's just returning the user if the email and password are valid. So
Repo is really, really useful when you have like multiple databases. We have like tons of
Yeah.
replicas, and you can like move it out to be like a function, like read replica. So it'll give you like, you can just do like some round robin or something random, however you wanted to do it. You can actually like one of your read replicas.
Yep. And so this is a better example of a query now that I can actually click around things. So yeah, this is verifying the changing the email by token. So basically, this is taking in the token, which is just it's not checking. So that's just an open variable. And then this with these like pointing brackets in either direction, that's saying that the string will start with the change. So this is part of Elixir's pattern matching. And then it doesn't care what comes after, and it's not going to assign it to any other variable. And then the context. Wait a minute. Oh, that's assigning the whole string, right? Sure. So yeah, it's pattern matching on the string itself, and then taking the whole that string that was passed in and putting it in the context variable. So that's a little bit of pattern matching right there. And then yeah, it's doing a URL decode because it's in base 64 because this is a binary token.
Probably explain the crypto hash.
Crypto hash, cool. Okay, so hash algorithm. So in this case, I can't remember what that is. That's
Oh no, I mean like why is it calling a function on an atom?
oh, okay. So here's something that may twist your brain a bit. So atoms in Elixir can either start with a colon, which is the Erlang syntax, or they can start with a capital letter, which is the Elixir convention. But they're both effectively the same thing, and they're just a place that can store information. So you shouldn't, but you can. You could actually do like def module colon name lowercase if you wanted to. But
So on line 22, there's two atoms, user and then Nexus admin user. Yeah, it belongs to.
right, yes. So it's taking those as arguments. So I can't think of a good reason why they'd be atoms there. You could potentially use strings, but atoms are just more conventional in the code.
They're also faster.
Yes, yes.
You can think of atoms as being like a global email, kind of.
Yeah,
Global
basically.
zero.
Yeah, because it's a globally unique value. Whereas like you could have two strings and they might have like visually they might look identical, but you might have different graphemes in there. So like it might not be. So like you could do string equals string, and it could be like KZ on one side, but it could be like KA, and then there's like some character that looks like a Z on the other side. Those wouldn't match. Whereas if it's an atom, those graphemes are always going to match because it's just ASCII, I believe. I don't know if you can do UTF-8 atoms.
So the reason he's calling a function on a literal atom, or a atom, is because that's a package in Erlang. So the convention is if the package is coming from Erlang, we usually call.
Oh, yeah, for the crypto one.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for line 22, but for the crypto hash one, yes. Yeah, so yeah, that's this, like that's the other way you can kind of determine where code's coming from is, so like right here, this is coming from the crypto library within Erlang. So yeah, that's the other nice thing about Elixir. If you can find a library in Erlang to do some really like obscure thing that you're trying to do, you can just put it right into Elixir.
That diamond operator.
Yep.
Do you know how old that is? The reason I ask is because it happens to be an operator in Haskell for monoids, which does exactly the same thing for appending anything.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've written Haskell, but it's similar to pinning, but the pinning operator in Elixir is the caret. So like There should be an example of a pinned query here. I remember writing one. One sec. Let me just do a search here.
Also, a sort of a quirk in Ecto is you have to pin things.
Yeah, it was an Ecto query. Yeah. Oh my god. Package lock.json. I don't care.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay. So yeah, so like this no, that's not the example I was thinking of. Here, that's a better example. So like right here, so like this is a query that's all being fed into this from function. So this is the first part of it. So that's T and user token. So that's basically taking a struct here. This is an echo struct, and you can kind of think of this as just an alias. So you can operate on it because like it's t.user. So you can this becomes like a table reference. So like if you were actually doing this in a SQL query, it'd be like your as. So int would be it'd be user token as t if you were to write it in SQL. So that's how you can think of using it over there. And then you're doing .user ID equals, and you're operating on the user object now. But
You're taking the value of ID and putting it in the query for the match.
exactly. But so what this is doing, what this pinning operator is doing, is it's using the variable that was passed in up here. Otherwise, it's going to try and search for a definition that was defined before. So like, because you can do this with multiple structs and operate on multiple tables, and it's going to be like, user's not defined. But since you're using this pin operator, it'll step out of that lexical scope and actually know that it's operating at like the one above it. Same with context over here.
Jeff, if you remember me talking to you yesterday about the from syntax, that's what I'm talking about. So there was recently a paper that came out, I think it was from Google or something, talking about like the way that SQL, or it would be better to have SQL ordered like this, and it looks almost exactly like Ecto. It's like, you look at it and it's like, oh yeah, I get it. So somebody that wrote that paper was involved in Elixir community because it's like almost exactly the same syntax as Ecto.
Ecto is sort of also what actually brought me to Elixir, because at the time ActiveVector just had so many issues.
Yeah.
ActiveVector in Rails is so much better now, but Ecto allows you to build some really nice composable SQL, and you can get a bit more lower level than what ORM may let you do. It helps you like critically think more about the SQL that you're writing. Yep.
It's definitively not an ORM.
Yeah, it's I would say it's an object mapper at most, which is like not quite an ORM. Well, in the Ruby world, that probably means like the exact same thing to most people, but I'm thinking in Ruby, so.
There's like an alternative style, or the one that I would probably lean into more. Although I do like lots of parameters too, and that's where you can like supposedly do like your where function, and then you can pass the module in, and then it allows you to make some nice composable SQL.
Yeah, I don't think I have any complicated queries in this code base, but
Another common way to do that is to put a new line in front of the where. So you go back to where you were, Kaz.
yep.
So if you, like, in front of where you hit enter, and then you just put new lines with each thing, and it just kind of breaks it down into like more of a piped kind of look.
Yep. And that's nice because then you can actually like match on previous input or like feed something in and make it conditional and do more pattern matching,
Yeah.
which is like primo.
Yes.
This also has a similarity to the late syntax in C#.
Probably.
Why are those lights going on
The building is trying to go to sleep, but we're here.
now? Okay. I like just looked over and I was like, okay.
Somebody reading the walls trying to send some message to people.
I was gonna say, is it Morse code? I don't know.
Exactly.
Cool. But yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up there unless there's any more questions. Sweet.
Kaz, have you noticed how your keyword highlighting in VS Code is broken?
What? Well, I don't
your
use-
Do's,
Again, I
your
don't-
do's and ends aren't the same color as your defs. They're yellow, not orange. Or yellow,
Because
not
of
red.
the regular parentheses.
No, it's a busted version, or a busted grammar parsing in the new version of the Elixir legislator.
Because it actually like made each block deeper. And
Wait, why is my end-
color.
Yeah, they go
But
blue.
It's like straight up busted. If you turn off the rainbow brackets, it still keeps up.
I thought that was a feature.
No, it's a bug.
Like lexical scoping.
Yeah.
So, wait, I'll just bring it back here so you can point that out because I'm super curious now.
I mean, if turning off the brackets fixes it, that would make my life a lot better because I've spent a lot of time wrestling with the language server.
There we go. So which one?
It's yellow, it's pink.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I thought that was a feature of like.
Okay, and this
See?
is blue and that one is purple.
Yeah.
What do you mean, def module?
Yeah, okay, so def module,
That's fine.
it's a pink keyword,
Yeah.
but do is a yellow
But
keyword.
the
Yeah, it's
answer is
purple
yellow.
on
Yeah.
148 line. See, the do is purple, then the next line is blue, and then the end is blue. And
So
then
why
the
would
end
this
is
not
purple.
be purple? If you
Just
got
go to the end of the file.
If you got purple,
Yeah.
purple, purple, shouldn't def module be
But the
purple?
colors match. So like this is purple, purple.
Look.
That's blue, blue.
Can you
And if I
see the
scroll down to the
first
bottom.
50, the pattern matching? It
Yeah.
actually is
Yeah, the bottom
yellow.
one
The
is-
first parenthesis is yellow.
They all match.
If this is just the parentheses rainbow thing, I'm gonna jump in the lake. Because when Elixir LS, I think like, I don't know, like a couple months ago came out, I opened up VS Code and I was like, I cannot live like this. And so I have
Just
three
don't
different.
use VS Code.
Wait,
Yeah.
what do you mean a few months ago? Elixir Alice has been a long.
No, they updated it.
Oh, they updated.
Yeah,
Okay.
they sent updates.
Okay. I thought you meant like it was new. I was
And there
like,
was a bunch of like issue threads in the guy's GitHub repo about this. People are like, what the fuck is going on? And he actually made a bunch of changes to the grammar parsing, and some of the keywords are messed up.
That was a- It's a
okay.
feature.
Because the only color thing I have is no, like that's
So
not
I've
on
got
the
an
same
older
stuff.
version of Elixir LS running, and then I also have Next.ls on top of it to make up for
What's next
some
LS?
shortcomings.
Try lexical. I think lexical is the best one, actually.
Yeah? Okay.
In my opinion, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see if the rainbow brackets fixes it, and if it does, I'm gonna feel like the biggest idiot.
Yeah, because I only have like 4 or 5 extensions running. so-
It's in the VS Code by default. So
Just use one. One text.
Or just go back to
Yeah.
just the Mac, go back to Windows.
Windows. Use Linux, man.
All right, my turn.
Hey, did you guys, am I the first person to notice?
What?
Like the whole KKK thing?
I think we talked about that like, during the very first meetup.
KKKs in this group. Like Kevin, Jazz, Casper.
What? What did I miss?
The three speakers, KKK.
3 days.
Oh, nice.
why don't you plug the HDMI directly?
Oh, I do have an HDMI.
I would say it works better because like the Thunderbolt dongle didn't work for me.
Okay, let's see. Oh, look at that. Okay, cool.